Good day all. So once again then, early morning, about 8 o'clock, and my mind is, it has gentle thoughts with some sort of urgency to share. Now this is the thing. Somebody once asked one of my viewers, and I think it was because, like, you know, I've been saying that I have found a certain something, and if you found a certain something, then you have a certain level of awakening. Then why is it that you continue to make videos? Is it because you are driven by ego? Is it because you want the adoration? Is it because you want the dopamine, or this, that and the other? No. It's a compulsion which is derived out of, I think, one of the natural laws of the universe, which is to share. The universe doesn't want things not to share. Sharing is a beautiful thing. And I'm going to go deeper on this because this is really, really important, what I'm going to say here. And some of you will see the importance of it, and some of you won't be able to take it on board at this moment in time in your personal development. Of late, I've been speaking about the incessant search for knowledge that most of us are doing and have done on the internet. And the reason why we're searching for it, in my opinion, isn't because we want truth. Because if you knew truth, then it'd shape you to your core. And so if I said to you, do you want shaking to your core? Do you want everything you've ever known to be broken into a million shards and thrown around the universe? Is that what you're looking for? Really? Because that's truth. Truth is when you get to a position whereby you become so fragmented. Everything you thought you knew about this world is discovered to be an illusion. That can be pretty shocking, people. And when you have experiences whereby you feel as if you are everything, and there is only you. You are pure awareness itself. There is nothing else save for you. You're in the heart of the beast, and you're there, and it's lonely. You can experience amazing love, and this is the complexity of it all. I've experienced both. I've experienced such loneliness that I felt like I was coming back to this reality from a DMT trip with white knuckles and shaking legs, embracing this world. It's great to be back. It's marvellous to be back. I didn't like it there. I was everything. It was terrifying. I was the entirety of it. And there was nothing else. And so then when you come back to this world, and the most abhorrent of behaviour seems comforting, I'm telling you, people, just to know that somebody else is there. And so, this incessant searching for the truth is vacuous. It will never lead you to what you're really searching for. You are searching for the truth because you want the hole inside you filling. You are searching for comfort. You are searching to get back into the womb. That's what you're doing, people. That is my confound opinion about what this is. You see, look, when we are a fetus and we're growing within the womb, our existence, unless we are dwelling in a traumatized mother, our existence is bliss. It's pure tranquility. It's absolute optimum temperature. It never varies. The mesmerizing, hypnotic beat of our mother's heart is so soothing and comforting because there's this other entity living with you. Bum bum, bum bum, bum bum, bum bum. And if you ever notice, when you're with a lover and you're lying in your lover's arms, and you'll notice that unconsciously your breathing settles exactly the same. And I'm pretty sure that if monitored, you'll discover that your hearts, in actual fact, start to beat in unison. This is when two become one. This is when your body's sympathetic system merges with another out of sympathy. You see? And so, when we're in the womb and we have this beautiful bliss, what happens? We have a very shocking, traumatizing experience. We are born into another dimension. We break through the membrane of another dimension. This is the reality of it. You're out into this great expanse where you don't comprehend anything. And all of a sudden the temperature's changed, it's very noisy, you get beaten and so you start crying for the first time and all these sorts of things. Everything's so bright you can't open your eyes for a week or so. And so this is the level of trauma. And so can you not see then that unconsciously we don't want this trauma. We want to get back to the womb. And many people will tell you that they're not of this world. They don't enjoy this world. They're lonely to go back. And they express that going back is going back to another constellation or another dimension, this, that and the other, which is and has a certain truth to it. But I think if you look closer to home, really what we're wanting is to get back into the womb, where there's a level of consistency and perfection. And so, we spend all of our lives then trying to make head or tail of this thing that we're in. And some of us who want more than just satiating our genitalia and our stomachs, we want to satiate our minds and our hearts. And so we're looking for more. And because of the complexity and the massive influx of information and data, we think the hole in our heart pertains to that data, when it doesn't. And so we look in the wrong place. And the vast majority of people these days are looking in suburbia. They're looking in the city. They're looking into books. They're looking into phones. They're looking into computers. They're looking into technology. It's the technology that has taken you away from yourself. And so it's irrational to think that the answer lies there, isn't it? You see? This is a very profound thing I'm saying here, people. It's something really to contemplate. There's this little scenario that Ram Dass often speaks about in many of his lectures. And he says there's this guy, and He lost his keys in a dark alley. And because it was so dark, he couldn't see the keys. So he walked out of the alley under a street lamp and he began to look for his keys there. Somebody asked him, "What are you looking for?" "I'm looking for my keys." "Where did you lose them?" "I lost them in the alley." "Well, why are you looking under the light?" It doesn't make sense. You're looking in the wrong place. It doesn't make sense, people. To look, to fill the hole in your heart in this manufactured world. You have to look for the hole in your heart in nature. And in nature, which is what you are, nature is your womb. That's where you're going to find it. Let me explain why I know this to be true. Throughout my life, I've always been in nature. I've always been drawn to it. My favourite colour has always been green. And my favourite number has been 9. 9 is the number of consciousness, you see. So, from when I was a kid, it was already written. When I chose these numbers, 9 is also the date of my birth, 9th of October. And so, unconsciously then, I'm choosing 9. And when I get older, I realise the significance of that. And then I realised the significance of my favourite colour as a child, green. What a passion I have for green. It's marvellous. And so why I know that you're looking in the wrong place is, of course, because I've been on that journey and I found it to be completely non-satiating. And people comment to me on my videos, some of you, and you say, "Yes, Aaron, it's perfectly true what you say. I can't find satiation. Doesn't matter how long and hard I look within information, I can't find satiation." And that's because you're looking in the wrong place. If you forget all about this information, and if you start to sit under a tree, by a lake, on a rock, if you start to lay in a meadow, listen to the bees, watch the butterflies, look closely at all the so-called weeds, you'll start to see them. And you'll start to awaken, maybe. Now, a very, very significant part of when you know that you are waking up is when you feel something amazing when you watch a leaf fall from a tree. Pure simplicity. Seemingly insignificant. It happens every single second of every single day for every single year. The plant form has been in existence on this planet, and yet it is probably the thing which is considered to be the most insignificant because of its proliferation, probably. That can't mean anything. It's happening all the time. But when one day you are in a wood or you're sitting beneath a tree and you're calm and you're just looking and you see a leaf fall from a tree, and it will be like a flash of brilliant light. It will be like electricity running through your spine. It will be the most beautiful, exciting, content feeling. The most wondrous thing. It'll be like getting back into the womb. Because when you experience that, you know that you are in nature's womb and you are absolutely a part of it. And it's so amazingly beautiful. Just a picture. You would have seen it 1,000 times. The way they dance. All different leaves, they dance in a particular way. On a particular day. Whether it's a winter's day, late autumn, whether it's a beautiful sunny day, whatever it is, windy day, you see this leaf dancing. And they've all got their own particular dances. And the other day I'm watching eucalyptus leaves. Eucalyptus leaves are long and thin, and they often have a bit of a twist, a bit like a propeller. And so when they fall through the air, they're twisting, twisting, twisting. And sometimes they'll go up and down like this, twisting, 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 up and down, in a beautiful dance that seems to last eternity. And finally it comes to rest. And when it comes to rest, it's kind of like, don't stop. I want you to go on forever. And then you watch eagerly for another one, and another one, and another one. And it becomes intoxicating. Because every single one is different. Just like every single thing in this universe is different. Every single human being, every single atom, every single cell in our bodies, they all have their individuality and beauty, if you can find it. There was this occasion when I was on Amanita Muscaria and I was out in the woods with Paul, and we were standing in a wood and we were talking like we always do. And I saw, it was autumn time, and I saw an oak leaf dancing through the air as it fell from the tree. And as I said, it was like the veil opened up ever so slowly, just a fraction that I could see the light of God. And I said to Paul, and I made a video about it, it was like I saw an angel. I was aghast. I gasped. I let a bit of a shriek out. I was mesmerised. Paul saw me, and I said, what the fuck was that? What was that? That was one of the most profound experiences I've ever had. You see, simple. When you allow God to speak to you via the natural world. God doesn't communicate with you through this fabricated world. This is man's world. God won't communicate you via man's world. It will communicate to you via man. It will communicate to you via anything pertaining to nature and consciousness. It won't communicate to you via these technological advances, via all of the things man has to say. In recent times, I was listening to an audiobook by Ramana Maharshi, a very, very highly held and regarded guru. And this book is called I Am That. And within this book, he labours extensively how we shouldn't desire, because desire is a bad thing. Then, now I'm reading The Way of Mastery. And as I've said, it's as if Jesus has wrote it. And Jesus is talking to you. And he speaks to you from the perspective of Jesus. And he says, many people will tell you that desire is bad. I'm telling you, desire is the portal to God's kingdom. Desire is the portal to pure bliss. And so you just go, what do you do with people's perspectives? You don't do nothing with them. There's no point in even hearing them. Because if you listen to them, and if you take them on board, and if you live your life via their perspectives, You're living somebody else's life. You've got to find your own life, people. And so what I would say is that if you are the variety of person that is overly influenced by experiences that you have, we're all influenced to some degree, but if you're overly influenced, and when you read something or listen to something, you think that's true, like lots of people do, and then they'll go parrot fashioning this thing all over the world until something else makes an impression on them, then they'll parrot fashion that all over the world. You've got to look within, and you've got to say to yourself, well, how has desire served me? What has desire gained? Has desire led me down a sticky path? Well, yes and no. And so what do I mean by that? Well, you have to use your discernment, because if we're talking about sexual desire can very often lead you down a sticky path. I'm not trying to make any puns here, but you'll be acting out of lust, and when you lust over something, your mind gets foggy, and your rational mind is set aside, and you're only driven by the lust and the desire. So that can be deemed to be what we may call bad, because it would lead us to situations where we're compromised and we wish we hadn't done this and that. Obviously, if you're in a relationship, and need I say any more? But if you're desiring to have a better life, if you're desiring to get a better job and educate yourself and all this sort of thing, and every day you're thinking like, oh, I want to be a philosopher, I want to be a scientist, I want to be a brilliant sports person, I desire it so much. Well, that desire, when you transmute the desire, which is like, oh, it's kind of like an angst pertaining to it. I desire it. Don't desire. Desire it, but then after, allow the desire to gently shift and flow into intention. Because intention is sustainable. Because if you intend to be a great sports person, then every single day your whole life will revolve around it. Your sleeping patterns, your eating patterns, your diet, your exercise, your mental activity, it will all relate and pertain to the objective of your intention. But if you desire, I desire to be a sportsman, I desire to... No. You see, so there is truth in it, and then there's non-truth in it. And so we have to discern our truth. We've got to look at things, like I said the other day in a video. We have to become critical thinkers. When anybody says anything, look at it. What are they saying? How has my experience been in relation to this? What does desire mean? Look it up in the dictionary. Look it up in several dictionaries. Get a full grasp on it. Then go, when have I desired? Oh, there's this scenario, there's that scenario, there's another scenario. Well, when have they been good and bad? Oh, well, they've been good here and they've been bad there. Well, okay. What was the critical thing that determined whether it was good or bad? Well, it's whether I left my rational mind behind or not. Well, okay. So therefore then, when we desire, we need to keep hold of our rational thinking, don't we? Alongside the desire. So we have a rational thought. I mean, desires can be completely frivolous. But then we ask ourselves, well, is that desire completely frivolous, or can I attain that desire? I want to be a billionaire. Well, how likely is that? It's just a fantasy. I want to have several £1,000s in the bank. Okay, that's more achievable, isn't it? And so that's the desire. And then, well, it's kind of like rational mind. Okay, that's the desire. Thank you. How am I going to do it? Well, I'm going to need to call on intention then. Intention. I've got this desire that I want several £1,000s in the bank. How am I going to do it? Can we work together somehow? Yes, okay, intention says, yes, I can work with desire, but desire must take a back seat now. Because if desire doesn't take a back seat, if desire wants to be in the driving seat all the time, it's going to go wrong. Because the desire is going to want me to sit in the back. Intention, rational thinking, and that isn't going to work. So intention, rational thinking, needs to be in the driver's seat, and desire needs to be in the back seat. You see? And so, this is how we have to apply our minds to our psychology. Know thyself, fundamentally. Socrates, know thyself. How do you know yourself? You look at yourself. You look at everything. And you study the self. And then you say to yourself, well, okay, I'm living in this world which has forces which play on me. What are these forces? Well, there's all sorts of natural forces, hot and cold, and love and fear and all this sort of thing. Well, what else is there? Well, there's this thing called language, and that plays havoc with the human being. Why does it? Well, because it pertains to concepts, and the concepts can be very, very confusing. And then also it pertains to perception, you know, how we perceive these words and what people say, because we can never really understand deeply the meaning and the objective and the agenda behind it. And so constantly we're like, oh, you know, we're all in a tizzy trying to work it out. And so just step back from that and feel yourself and look at yourself and understand yourself. What do these words mean to me? And then you can start to get some sort of a handle on your life. And then you won't be pulled and pushed and blown and dragged around. If you float around on YouTube, that's what will happen to you. You'll be like a leaf which is blown around a yard by a violent wind. You're here, you're there, you're everywhere, you don't know where you are. You see? So what you have to do, you have to become like a leaf on a calm day. And so then you can start to see the world in greater clarity. And so getting back now to the main point of this video, when will you know that you're waking up? You'll know when you become to be affected in this most profound way by the tiniest thing in the natural world. By just looking at a certain creature, insect, by marvelling at a plant. There's a difference, you see, between like a botanist or a scientist and a spiritualist. Because they will all look at plants, but they'll be all looking at them for a different reason. A scientist will be trying to work out the molecular structure of it. The botanist will be trying to work out how this life force works with this material world and what its objective is and how it survives and all this sort of thing. The spiritualist will look at it just simply for its beauty. Just look at it with a hanging jaw, marvelling at the genius of it. They don't need to look at math or science or rhyme or reason. You just look at it with a tear in your eye. That's when you know you're awakening. Now, you see, this is something that pertains to Jesus in the New Testament. He says we have to become like children. Well, when you become like a child and you look at something for the first time without bias, without programs, that's when you see the world, you see. And so if you can bring yourself back, if you can release yourself from all of this stuff that clouds your vision and puts your heart in bondage, if you can break through that, if you can break free from that, then all of a sudden you'll feel different and you'll look at the world different. And people say to me, I try, Aaron, to look at nature how you do, but I can't do it. Well, it's because you're looking with the wrong eyes. You're looking from the wrong place. You're looking with your eyes and your mind, and you're trying to look for data and flashing things that should tell you, oh, you know, I don't know. When you look from the heart, that's when you see. You won't see it with your eyes. Of course, we seem to need eyes in this dimension, but you don't. You only need a heart. And so when you're in nature and you have this feeling, in this book, The Way of Mastery, it was saying something about, you know, when you get a certain way, when you have trained yourself in a certain way, you will walk through this world and it'll be like you are not here. And I'm like, that's exactly what I've been saying. Every time I'm walking everywhere, it's like I'm not really here. I'm in some sort of beautiful vibration, which is like a bubble around me. It's difficult to explain. You're floating. You're light. Your heart's light. Your mind is clear. Your eyes are bright and they can see. And your ears can hear. And you observe it all like a child. And walking anywhere, I just look at this leaf, at this twig, at this plant, at this flower, at that cloud, at this particular sunset. Those blades of grass. Oh, how the light is blessing. You see, there's a bit of a lawned area. It's a road island directly down there. Some of you would have seen it on other videos, and it's got several trees there and a hedgerow and this, that and the other. And every single second of the day, it shows me a different face. It is never, ever the same. Just let me show you, just so you know what I'm talking about. That down there. And then you've got up there, you've got that row of bushes, trees and plants, and throughout the whole day, every day, they are changing. Sometimes they're blowing gently in the wind, sometimes they're completely static. Depending on whether the sun is low in the sky or high in the sky, it's showing you something different. And when you become a part of this, and when throughout the whole day, it's like you're walking with a lover, a new romance, somebody that you've just given your heart to, and you're so joyous, because everything becomes beautiful, doesn't it, when you're in love? And nothing bothers you in those initial stages. Everything is so great. That's what it's like. When you have a love affair with the natural world. When you have a love affair with yourself. You see? Because when you love yourself, you don't need to love anybody else. Because you are love. And that's what you do. You exude love. And so therefore, without trying, you are loving because you are love. You can't be anything else. If you're hate, you can't be anything else, can you? And so when you love yourself, when you have this beautiful calmness inside and the peace of mind, then you realize that, wow, so light, so free, everything's so joyous. It's love, it must be love. I struggled with love for a long time, as many of my viewers who've watched me for a long time would know. I'm always banging on about questioning, what's love, what's love? I've never been loved, and people have always disappointed me, and love is a fleeting thing, and this, that and the other. Yeah, love pertaining to people. But love pertaining to God, love pertaining to the natural world, to nature, if you apply a rational mind to it, it can never disappoint you. If you get bitten by a venomous snake, you can go, oh, I hate snakes, I hate nature. No, it's just what they do. Teaching you about a certain level of awareness, a certain potential. There's so much to be gleaned and learned from nature. It's all there. It's all there to give us this experience. This depiction of heaven where the beast lays down with the lamb, whatever the beast may be these days. It used to be the lion, now it's the wolf. You know, the whole Mandela thing. But what would be beneficial about that? When everything is so harmonious. Well, there would be no spice to life, would there? You see, but now, we can find this love, we can find this bliss, we can find this comfort in certain pockets around the potential danger and the potential trauma and the potential fear. And so it makes navigating through this experiential thing much more interesting. And so, I think I've made my point. When you see a leaf fall from the tree and it moves you in a very special way, that's when you know you're waking up.